Uncle Joe's living room is a whirlwind of conspiracy and tax papers. Uncle Joe hunches before the television, fixated on the latest tax bill. The room is dimly lit, a stark contrast to the daylight just beyond. "Sounds like a scam," Uncle Joe exclaims, his suspicion flaring. His gaze intensifies, lost in the labyrinth of tax regulations. Mike steps into Uncle Joe's living room, his face etched with dismay at the chaos before him. Pizza boxes and scratch-offs litter the dining table, a testament to Uncle Joe's carefree lifestyle. Mike surveys the scene, his expression a mix of exasperation and concern. He sighs, shaking his head. "Uncle Joe, the IRS isn't your enemy." In Uncle Joe's cluttered living room, a whirlwind of gestures and mischief fills the air. Mike sits on the worn sofa, a mask of patient exasperation etched on his face. Uncle Joe's voice rises, dripping with intrigue. "So this beautiful bill, is it like Tinder, but for deductions?" Mike exhales deeply, the weight of his uncle's antics pressing down on him. Silence hangs heavy as Mike offers no response, his exasperation reaching its peak. Uncle Joe's eyes twinkle, undeterred by Mike's silence, ready to plunge deeper into his eccentric theories. Bathed in morning light, Uncle Joe's living room becomes the stage for a financial revelation. Mike stands, arms animated, trying to convey the essence of fiscal wisdom to his Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe, nestled in his armchair, listens intently, a hint of skepticism in his eyes. Mike declares, "Your old tax rate was like buying a steak and only getting the parsley. Now, you keep the meat." Uncle Joe absorbs Mike's words, his expression unreadable as he contemplates the proposition. The room hangs in anticipation, the weight of financial decisions palpable in the air. Sunlight floods Uncle Joe's cluttered living room, illuminating the chaotic charm. Uncle Joe, a whirlwind of restless energy, bounces with barely contained excitement. Mike stands opposite, his weariness a stark contrast to Uncle Joe's exuberance. Uncle Joe's eyes gleam with mischievous anticipation. "So I can finally afford that gold-plated toenail clipper?" Mike's face is etched with exasperation as he counters, "No, but you can afford someone to stop you from buying it." The room seems to hold its breath, awaiting Uncle Joe's reaction to Mike's exasperated plea. Sunlight bathes Uncle Joe's living room as Mike speaks with youthful zeal. "Buy a new American car? Deduct up to $10K in interest." Uncle Joe sits, his gaze drifting towards the window, lost in thought. Uncle Joe perks up, thinking about his old truck. The old truck sits, bathed in warm sunlight. Uncle Joe's eyes reflect a nostalgic glimmer. The room is a whirlwind of Uncle Joe's eccentric hobbies and forgotten dreams. Uncle Joe leans forward, a mischievous glint dancing in his eyes. Mike sighs, already anticipating the latest outlandish request. Uncle Joe asks, "What about adopting a teenager?" "For a refund, of course," Mike retorts. "Only if they're under 17. And no, your neighbor's lawn kid doesn't count." In the cluttered living room, their banter continues, painting a picture of their unique dynamic. In Uncle Joe's living room, a seed of hope flickers in Uncle Joe's eyes as he leans in, ready to make his claim. Mike stares back, amusement dissolving into disbelief as the reality of the situation dawns on him. Reality hits hard as Mike covers his face, trying to process the absurdity of Uncle Joe's declaration. Mike's voice cracks with incredulity as he protests, "You can't just claim your cat." The room hangs in stunned silence as Uncle Joe's outrageous statement echoes, unanswered. The cat watches silently from the corner of the room. Across the street, an IRS agent lurks, binoculars masking his intent, eyes fixed on Uncle Joe's house. Dressed in a dark suit, he attempts to blend, but the intensity in his eyes betrays his purpose. The agent watches the house, waiting. His gaze remains fixed, unwavering. Sunlight floods Uncle Joe's living room, highlighting the worn couch. Mike stands, gesturing dramatically as he explains tax deductions. Uncle Joe sits on his couch, a skeptical look etched on his face. Mike emphasizes, "You can deduct a home office if it's used exclusively for business." Uncle Joe remains silent, unconvinced by Mike's explanation. Uncle Joe sprawls across the couch, lost in blissful repose, a contented smile gracing his face. Mike stands nearby, arms crossed, an expression of exasperation etched onto his face. Uncle Joe breaks the silence with a lazy declaration, "This couch is my corporate HQ. I'm here for strategic planning, mostly naps." Mike responds, his voice laced with sarcasm and a hint of worry, Let's call it a multi-zoned operational hub, and pray they don't check your Netflix logs. Uncle Joe chuckles softly, undisturbed, as he drifts deeper into his strategic nap. Amidst the chaos of a cluttered living room, Uncle Joe strikes a pose, ready to unveil his grand venture. Boxes overflow with dusty books and strange artifacts, hinting at the eccentric nature of Ghosts R Us. Mike leans against the door frame, arms crossed, his skeptical gaze cutting through Uncle Joe's enthusiasm. Uncle Joe proudly proclaims, "Behold, Ghosts R Us is officially open for business." Mike's skepticism intensifies as he retorts, "Approved, but expect a phantom audit." The dimly lit room seems to hold its breath, awaiting the unfolding drama of this peculiar enterprise. In Uncle Joe's sun-drenched living room, Mike stands, a beacon of financial enthusiasm. Sunlight paints the room, highlighting the dust motes dancing in the air as Mike lays out his financial wisdom. Buy it this year? Deduct 100%. The IRS is basically your sugar daddy, Mike declares, his voice filled with confidence. Uncle Joe listens intently, absorbing Mike's words as if they were golden nuggets of fiscal insight. The room is filled with the unspoken promise of financial freedom, thanks to Mike's insightful advice. Dust motes continue their silent dance in the sunlight, a subtle testament to the timeless wisdom being shared. Sunlight paints Uncle Joe's living room as he leans forward, his face etched with a life of stories. Mike sits opposite him, notepad in hand, a stark contrast to Uncle Joe's weathered appearance. Uncle Joe asks, "So, if I only sell, like, one taco, can I deduct losses?" Mike retorts, "Then we write off your market testing and your self-esteem." Sunlight floods Uncle Joe's cluttered living room, illuminating a tense conversation. Mike warns, "Uncle Joe, claiming rental losses on your taxes when you're not actually renting the place out is a huge red flag. The IRS will come after you." Uncle Joe retorts, "But I am renting it out to Mr. Whiskers." Mike's incredulous stare intensifies. "Your cat?" Uncle Joe nods, a playful smile tugging at the corner of his lips. The sunlight catches the dust motes dancing in the air, underscoring the absurdity of the situation. In his backyard, Uncle Joe relaxes in a lawn chair, his Hawaiian shirt vibrant under the sun. A frosty margarita rests in his hand as he casually prepares to defy the taxman. With nonchalant glee, he tosses the IRS forms into the blazing fire pit. Flames engulf the documents as Uncle Joe leans back, a picture of carefree defiance. In Uncle Joe's cozy living room, Mike's exhaustion is palpable as he slams his briefcase shut. Sunlight dances through the room, casting a warm glow on the cluttered space. Uncle Joe beams, a mischievous glint sparkling in his eyes. Uncle Joe reveals, "Turns out the IRS does love me. They just ghosted me for 67 years. Mike, stunned by the revelation, stares blankly at Uncle Joe. The cozy room is filled with an absurd sense of revelation. In his office, Mike sits before his computer, deeply engrossed in Uncle Joe's tax return. The numbers dance before his eyes, revealing a story only he can decipher. A slow shake of his head betrays his amusement, a subtle smile gracing his lips. The weight of numbers lifts, as Mike finds humor in the familiar chaos of tax season. Across the street, an IRS agent lies in wait, his vehicle a silent sentinel. Through the lens of his binoculars, the agent's intense gaze penetrates the facade of Uncle Joe's humble abode. He studies Uncle Joe's home, a predator watching his prey. Each detail of the house is noted, every movement scrutinized. Uncle Joe, surrounded by stacks of books, stares intently at the laptop screen. He gestures emphatically, a mischievous glint in his eyes. "So, Mike, the key here is depreciation," Uncle Joe begins, a hint of conspiracy in his tone. He leans closer. "Accelerated depreciation." With a conspiratorial whisper, he adds, "Trust me, the IRS hates this one weird trick." Uncle Joe, in his absurd apron, commands the smoking grill with pride. With a flourish, he flips the steaks, orchestrating a symphony of sizzling delight. Another business expense in the making. Gotta entertain those clients, you know. Smoke dances around him as he relishes the moment. A true grill master at work. The aroma of grilling steak fills the air, promising a feast fit for kings. Uncle Joe savors the scent, a twinkle in his eye hinting at the delicious deception. In the warm glow of Uncle Joe's living room, shadows dance across cluttered bookshelves as Uncle Joe stands defiant, his gaze fixed on the cylindrical device. Uncle Joe challenges the digital voice. Alexa, I'm telling you, these lottery tickets are a legitimate business expense. I need them for research. Alexa's calm voice fills the room unwavering. I am unable to provide tax advice, Joe. Please consult a qualified professional. Undeterred, Uncle Joe pleads. But Alexa, you're so smart. You know everything. Surely you can bend the rules a little. In a last-ditch effort, Uncle Joe makes a final plea. Fine, but what about my cat's therapy sessions? She gets so stressed when I lose. A delivery truck halts before Uncle Joe's humble home. The driver retrieves a mysterious package, its contents unknown. A ring pierces the quiet as the driver stands at the door. Uncle Joe appears, a mask of confusion clouding his face, a gold-plated toenail clipper. Sunlight pierces through the dusty window of Uncle Joe's living room, casting a stark light on the cluttered space. Mike, in a slightly too formal shirt, gestures emphatically, his words hanging in the air. Uncle Joe sits slumped, lost in a haze. A half-eaten sandwich, a precarious weight on his belly. Mike attempts to break through. So, Uncle Joe, the key with SALT deductions is understanding the limitations. It's not unlimited, you see. Uncle Joe remains motionless, oblivious to Mike's explanation, the sandwich a silent testament to his disinterest. Under the scorching sun, a classic suburban backyard buzzes with life. The air fills with the sizzle of the grill and the carefree shrieks of children. Uncle Joe, hot dog in hand, launches into an impassioned explanation. So, you see, with the new SALT deductions, in the golden afternoon light, Uncle Joe sits at his desk, a picture of focused determination. The warm glow of the sun accentuates the seasoned wood of his desk. With practiced ease, Uncle Joe navigates the online tax forms, a confident smirk playing on his lips. Each click is a step closer to completion, the digital forms reflecting in his focused eyes. The afternoon sun casts long shadows, highlighting the quiet satisfaction of a task nearing its end. A final click seals the deal, and Uncle Joe leans back, a satisfied expression washing over his face. The IRS agent departs, defeated. The car speeds away, leaving behind a cloud of dust. Uncle Joe's house stands in the distance, a silent witness to the agent's retreat. The sun beats down on Uncle Joe's property, a golden light bathing the scene. Sunlight floods Mike's office, illuminating the calm within. In his hands, a thank you card from Uncle Joe. Mike gazes intently at the card, a faint smile playing on his lips. The card brings a moment of quiet reflection to Mike's day. In the comforting clutter of his living room, Uncle Joe settles into his worn armchair, the television screen casting a soft glow across the room. A news report drones about tax loopholes, a distant hum against the backdrop of brewing coffee. The room is filled with old books and brewing coffee. Uncle Joe remains absorbed, oblivious to the world outside. Sunlight bathes Uncle Joe's cozy living room, highlighting the worn wooden desk. Uncle Joe squints at the computer screen, brow furrowed in concentration as he begins his research. His fingers tap lightly on the keyboard as Uncle Joe begins his deep dive into new tax strategies. The room is silent, save for the gentle hum of the computer, a sanctuary of focused thought. In the quiet of his living room, Uncle Joe navigates the complexities of tax law. Under the bright sun, Uncle Joe's backyard buzzes with life, a tax strategy BBQ banner swaying gently above. The aroma of sizzling barbecue fills the air as guests wander through the yard, plates heaped with food. Amidst laughter and chatter, the banner hangs askew, a playful symbol of the day's relaxed atmosphere. Uncle Joe, the master of the grill, keeps a watchful eye, ensuring every guest is well fed and content. Sunlight floods Uncle Joe's living room, illuminating the gentle dance of dust motes. Mittens, a fluffy Persian cat, exudes an air of regal indifference. Uncle Joe attempts to guide Mittens' paw, a humorous struggle against feline autonomy. The worn wooden table stands as a silent witness to the quirky scene. The document lies flat on the table, awaiting Mittens' reluctant endorsement. The room fills with a blend of warmth and gentle absurdity. Under the relentless sun, teenagers tackle the seemingly endless task of mowing Uncle Joe's lawn. The sun blazes, turning a simple chore into an endurance challenge. Each blade of grass cut is a small victory against the overwhelming heat and labor. The air shimmers with heat as they continue their relentless work. Despite the hardship, They press on, driven by duty, or perhaps something more. In his cozy living room, Uncle Joe settles into his worn armchair, a microphone poised before him, ready to share his wisdom. With a burst of enthusiasm, Uncle Joe gestures expansively, clearly reveling in his role as a financial sage. Uncle Joe leans forward, launching into his tax advice. So, the key to minimizing your tax burden, folks, is understanding depreciation. He emphasizes the breadth of depreciation, adding, "It's not just for buildings, you know. Think about your assets." Tourists flock to Uncle Joe's house, their cameras poised like hungry birds. Each click and whir of their cameras echoes in the bright sunlight. Uncle Joe's humble abode becomes a beacon in their lenses. The sun shines brightly, illuminating every detail of the scene. The air buzzes with the excitement of discovery and capture. Sunlight floods Uncle Joe's cluttered living room, illuminating a scene of organized chaos. Uncle Joe, his eyes gleaming with mischief, is engrossed in the glowing screen of his laptop. Amidst the stacks of books and scattered papers, a half-empty coffee mug stands as a testament to his dedication. The room, a sanctuary of intellect and eccentricity, buzzes with the quiet energy of Uncle Joe's thoughts. The disarray around him only accentuates the focus in his eyes, a spark of brilliance in the mundane. He pauses, lost in thought, the sunlight casting long shadows across the room. In Uncle Joe's sun-drenched backyard, an old oak tree casts playful shadows over a gathering of neighbors and friends. Folding chairs sit neatly arranged, awaiting Uncle Joe's tax wisdom. A makeshift stage constructed from stacked wooden pallets awaits its speaker, promising homespun advice. Uncle Joe, a beacon of enthusiasm, stands proudly behind his podium, ready to share his tax tips. A hand-lettered sign proclaims, "Tax Tips with Joe," a testament to his earnest dedication. Sunlight floods Uncle Joe's living room, highlighting the dust motes in the air. Uncle Joe's face radiates warmth, a testament to his years of wisdom and kindness. He proudly displays a gleaming plaque, a symbol of his accomplishments and tax expertise. The room buzzes with excitement, filled with well-wishers celebrating Uncle Joe's success. Friends and family gather, their faces beaming with pride and affection for Uncle Joe. A black limousine arrives, its polished surface gleaming against the backdrop of Uncle Joe's humble home. The limousine's arrival disrupts the quiet street, its presence a stark contrast to the neighborhood's modest charm. The sleek vehicle waits, a silent promise of change and an unspoken question hanging in the air. The limousine's dark windows conceal the occupants within, adding an air of mystery to the otherwise ordinary scene. The contrast between the luxurious car and the simple home amplifies the unspoken narrative, hinting at a story about to unfold. Uncle Joe's living room transforms into a vibrant TV set, alive with lights and cameras. UNCLE, Joe commands the stage, his gestures broad and filled with confidence. He passionately unveils his tax strategies, captivating the unseen audience. The atmosphere buzzes with energy, the set reflecting Uncle Joe's dynamic presence. Under the bright sun, Uncle Joe's backyard prepares for a day of audacious innovation. A rickety table is the stage, adorned with a laptop and a banner that boldly announces the launch. Uncle Joe, eyes sparkling with mischief, gestures with a flourish, ready to unleash his creation. The banner proclaims, "Tax Evasion App, Launch Day." Uncle Joe is poised to change the world. Dust motes dance in the sunlit air of Uncle Joe's chaotic living room, where forgotten remnants of meals and news compete for space. Amidst the disarray, the insistent ring of the rotary phone shatters the morning's quiet. Joe, caught mid-bite of a stale donut, pauses, a sigh escaping his lips as he reluctantly acknowledges the call. With weary resignation, Joe lifts the receiver, bracing himself for whatever news awaits on the other end. A sleek black sedan cuts a stark contrast against Uncle Joe's humble abode. Figures emerge, their dark suits hinting at an agenda. Briefcases in hand, they approach with grim determination. The agents exude an air of unyielding resolve as they advance. Their businesslike demeanor speaks volumes. The fate of Uncle Joe's house hangs in the balance. Uncle Joe's living room is a chaotic sea of documents, threatening to consume him entirely. Two IRS agents, embodiments of stern authority, sit opposite Uncle Joe, their expressions unreadable. Paperwork covers every surface, a testament to years of tangled finances. Sunlight pierces through the window, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air, each speck a tiny reminder of time passing. The air crackles with tension as Uncle Joe faces his accusers. The weight of the situation settles heavily as the IRS agents maintain their gaze. The IRS agent approaches Uncle Joe's house, the briefcase heavy with expectations. Time seems to slow as the agent walks toward the door. Defeated, the IRS agent walks away from Uncle Joe's house, the briefcase now empty. A sigh escapes the IRS agent's lips. The agent walks away, leaving Uncle Joe's house behind. Sunlight floods Uncle Joe's living room, revealing a chaotic landscape of tax documents and crumpled receipts. Amidst the disarray, Uncle Joe, with a mischievous twinkle in his eye, orchestrates a symphony of financial chaos. With a triumphant grin, Uncle Joe dramatically throws his hands up, celebrating his victory over the tax season. The room is silent, and Uncle Joe stands still with a triumphant grin, as if he has just pulled off the greatest trick. Under the bright sun, Uncle Joe dives gleefully into an absurd pool of money. He plunges into the glittering depths, causing a cascade of wealth to erupt around him. Uncle Joe swims through the shimmering coins, reveling in his opulent playground. Emerging from the golden depths, Uncle Joe grins, a cascade of wealth clinging to him. Sunlight paints the room, illuminating Uncle Joe as he prepares to impart his wisdom. He stands before the group, a book of financial strategies in his grasp, ready to reveal secrets. With animated gestures, Uncle Joe begins to speak, his eyes twinkling with the promise of fortune. The room is filled with anticipation as Uncle Joe clutches the worn book and begins to speak. Beneath the open sky, Uncle Joe's warm smile radiates as he emerges from his house, a beacon of geniality. His enthusiastic wave greets the assembled fans across the street, bridging the distance with heartfelt connection. The day brightens with the shared joy, as Uncle Joe's gesture of welcome is met with adoration. His welcoming wave solidifies his bond with the crowd, turning a simple moment into a celebration of mutual appreciation. Inside Uncle Joe's cozy living room, a familiar warmth fills the air. With a playful glint in his eye, Uncle Joe shares a mischievous wink directly at the camera. The simple gesture hints at untold stories and shared secrets, creating an intimate connection with the viewer. The room seems to hold its breath, anticipating the tale about to unfold. A comforting silence settles, promising laughter and perhaps a touch of nostalgia.